I've done it again. I'm starting a weekly vlog, which should start on a Monday, on a Wednesday. And last week I did this because I filmed bits on the Monday and bits on the Tuesday, and it didn't really make sense, so I began on the Wednesday. This week, I'm starting on the Wednesday because I've just been too busy to sit and film anything. So here we are, doing it on a Wednesday. This, if I'm really honest, is going to be a fairly uneventful week from the perspective of what you can see. But what I hope to give you in this week's video in particular is an insight into the tensions that go on when it comes to trying to juggle all these different areas of life. And what I mean by that is each day so far this week has demanded that I be in a totally different context, have a totally different set of thoughts in my head, and be operating in a totally different way. And I think the further I go into this business thing, for context if you're new here, I'm currently 30. I've been running businesses in one way, shape or form since I was 14 years old. So I started at the very, very, very bottom of like the silliest, piddliest businesses possible. And between my two businesses today, Patter, a growth consultancy, and SoDirect, a direct consumer e-commerce brand, there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot that goes into running those two businesses. And so Monday, and I'll tell you more about this later, but Monday, we travelled from Cardiff to Oxford to have a meeting with a supplier for SoDirect, who is going to be phenomenally important to that business. Like, they will be the single most important partner we have in the business, period. I'll tell you more about them soon, because it was a really positive meeting and they are amazing people. We're so fortunate to be in touch with them. However, Monday demanded that I be solely 100% in SoDirect mode and be really thoughtful about who we showed up as in that first introduction meeting. So it was kind of shaking hands and kissing babies, as they call it in politics, right? It was just getting to know people in a very friendly but somewhat formal way, and it was pure SoDirect. And then yesterday, Tuesday, I was in the office all day, and it was essentially a full-on Patter day, working on things that are required by our clients to move projects forward, and being very much in the weeds and in the details of like the doing in the business. And that requires an entirely different version of me again, because sitting down at a desk for 8 or 9 hours and just totally locking in and focusing and understanding the broader context of each piece of work that I'm working on is a completely different version of me to the version that I was on Monday. And then interestingly, today, Wednesday, I've just got back from the office and pulled up outside the apartment. It is 10:30 at night. So much of today has been about decision making and forward planning and preparing for meetings and pulling strategies together for clients and all this kind of top level paid thinking stuff that we do, both for the clients of Patter, for a big chunk of the beginning of today for Patter itself, as in internally, and also for some meetings we're having with SoDirect. And that requires me to be in a very much kind of executive thinking about things brain. And I don't tell you any of this to lay up this video in a woe is me kind of way, but I tell you because so much of the reason why I struggle to sit down and do stuff like this on the days that I've just discussed is it takes a lot out of you to context shift so quickly. One of the biggest challenges I'm facing in life right now, I guess, is that context shifting. I guess I am several things to several people. I am Sean, the co-founder of Patter, to all of our clients. I am Sean, the operator who runs a growing direct consumer website for SoDirect. I am Sean, the person who's supposed to be like considered and thoughtful and introspective when it comes to this kind of content. I am Sean, the son who is responsible for helping out a lot and holding things together for my mum. And then I'm just Sean for my friends. And I think what I want to try and show you in this video, as I kind of find my feet of what these videos are supposed to be about, this is the 4th vlog now, but I've realized that in every vlog I don't show you anything on the other side of the camera. I just show you me, and I talk to you in between the gaps of all the stuff that I do. I want to try and show you what it's like to shift between all those different contexts and the different versions of me that I need to show up as. Ironically, I got a phone call towards the end of filming that, so had to context shift and stop filming. That was all to say that this week, in the remaining few days of this video, what I want to try and show you behind the curtain of is the number of different times per day and per week I have to show up as a slightly different version of me in order to meet the demands of whatever situation presents itself. And I'm not pretending that I'm special because I have to do this, because everybody has to do this, right? There is somebody out there right now watching this who is working a totally standard, unexciting job, who shows up as that person and then goes home and is a superhero to their children, right? Is the best parent in the world. So this is just to show you in this week's video, because we only have half the week left, that in all that I do, there are different versions of me that need to show up in different times. And I'd like to try and talk to you a little bit more about that, because it's probably something I've never spoken about before in content. And I think more than anything else this week, as much as I'm going to tell you about what I've been up to, tell you about what I'm doing, I think you'll find that quite interesting. So I'm going to go to sleep. It's only 5 to 11, but I am tired. So I'm going to go to sleep, get out tomorrow. And then when I'm in the office tomorrow, at some point, I'm going to tell you all about that meeting from Monday, because that was a really, really big step forward for the So Direct business. And that partner is somebody we're going to be working with very closely in the future. So you need to know about it. See you tomorrow. Morning. I just woke up quite late actually, because I had a really bad headache yesterday. And I saw an email from my car saying that the alarm had gone off at 6 a.m. And I thought I was going to go and check on it before my call. There used to be a window there. So that's not ideal. That's something I need to deal with today. I've got a call that starts in 1 minute. So, hey, talk about context shifting like I did yesterday. I'm going to go and do this call that I need to do, which is with somebody who we work with on So Direct. And then, I guess, phone 101 and have them give me a crime reference number and do nothing about the massive hole in the back of my car. And then speak to my insurance company and work out what on earth you even do in this situation. It's a good start to the day, isn't it? I'll catch up with you later. See you soon. Okay, I'm a bit more awake now. I've got a tea and I have some updates. So I phoned the police to get my crime reference number, as you need to do to make an insurance claim. I then booked in the window with National Windscreens on the only date they have for the next 2 weeks, which is like this Monday coming, which means between now and this Monday, I have no car. I need to go to Rothwell on the weekend, so I'm going to have to get the train there and train back. I think I'm going to go drop the car off at National Windscreens now, just so it's stored inside somewhere. If you see me looking around, by the way, it's because I told the police that nothing was stolen, because as far as I was aware, at the time of that first video that you just saw, and when I spoke to the police, there was nothing stolen. And then I just said to Richard, oh, actually, if I'm going to drive it through the city, I'm going to have to smash this windscreen all the way through just so the glass isn't falling off. And I said, oh, what I'll do, I'll use the towel that's in my gym bag. And I peered in the boot. There's no gym bag there. So the entirety of that crime was for somebody in a less fortunate position than me to steal a Costco towel and some shower gel. So I'm glad that they smashed the entire rear window of my car to steal a Costco towel and some shower gel. I'm just taking a long walk back to the apartment to see if I can see that bag anywhere in any bushes, because the police want to come out and do some like CSI, taking fingerprints and DNA from the car to see if there's any clues as to who done it. And frankly, A, there won't be. You can see they used a key to make a hole and then would have used like the back of their jumper or something. But B, I got places to be. So I'm going to phone the police and say, don't worry, don't bother. But in the meantime, if I can find that bag, I'd be a little bit more intrigued to see if they could do some CSI bits on that, because as much as it's going to lead them down a dead end of like, what are they going to do? There's probably more evidential value on a bag that has been handled by this person than there is on the car itself. So my plan is to go back to the apartment, I guess phone 101 and tell them not to bother sending out the CSI people, then fully smash through the rear window, drive this to National Windscreens, and then hopefully get to the office for like 2 p.m, which is mental because I have such a busy day today. And of course, because of this, I have not been able to do anything. So that's the update. I'll catch up with you a bit later on at the office and let you know how I got on. See you soon. Do you know what? I've had this camera for 2 years and only just now have I learned how to make it do this where it follows me. That's cool. Listen, I did it again. I said that I would catch up with you after everything that happened yesterday, and then things got really busy and I didn't catch up with you. So I was in the office until something like 20 past 11 last night, getting done everything that I needed to get done yesterday. Now, it's not that I would have otherwise been in the office that late, but of course, with everything that happened with the car between like 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., the big busy day that I had didn't start till 3 p.m. So I did 3 till 11 in the office, then got the last train back to Cardiff, and on that train was working, and then got to the apartment and only then planned today. So the entire day just turned into a big mess, and one where I didn't have time to film. But let me give you the very quick recap on what happened with the car yesterday, because I was kind of in the moment when I spoke to you, so I don't remember exactly what I told you. It's a very short story in a sense. I parked on a street near the apartment the other night. I went to bed. I woke up at like 6:30 in the morning and could hear a car alarm going off, and I thought, I wish whoever's alarm that was would turn it off because I'm trying to sleep. And then I went back to sleep, and it was only a few hours later, picked up my phone. The self-help gurus say that you shouldn't check your emails first thing in the morning. I check my emails first thing in the morning, and I'm swiping through, reading this one, archiving this one, and then there's one from Mercedes, and it's from like 6:13 a.m. And the second I saw the email saying that your vehicle's alarm has been triggered with the street that I was parked on, I just instantly knew. It's a rough street. My car alarm never goes off randomly, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning. So I just thought, okay, someone's broken into my car. Went down there, saw someone had broken into my car. That's the footage you saw yesterday. The updates from there are basically none. I've taken it to a windscreen place to get repaired, but it's not being repaired until next week. The police can't do a great deal about it, as you'd expect, because there's no evidence, and so I guess that draws a line under it. Chalk it up as a loss. It's going to cost me a few £100. Made yesterday just a longer day than it otherwise would have been, and now life goes on. Now, that's the bad news from this week, but the good news from this week, and it feels like a lifetime ago now, is that meeting that I mentioned from Monday. Now, very quick refresher, if you haven't been following these videos so far, a few months ago we purchased a business called Sew Direct. Sew Direct sells sewing patterns, and as I covered in last week's video, most customers of sewing patterns want physical paper patterns. Not the print-on-demand stuff, not the PDF stuff. There is a market for those things, and that's what we currently offer on the most part, but paper patterns. And paper patterns by the big four brands in this industry have not been available in the UK for some time. So, on Monday, we went to Oxford to meet with the distributor of these patterns, who will be bringing them into the UK in the next few months and making them available. And for all the reasons I normally speak about in these videos, where I'm like, oh, this stuff's commercially sensitive, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. But it was such an encouraging meeting. I have so much confidence in the business that we met with. The people seem very genuine. The people are very genuine. They're good people. We had a 3.5-hour conversation, got to know them, toured their entire warehouse, learned about their business. They learned about ours. And now that paper patterns being back in stock on Sew Direct is on the horizon, lots of planning work now needs to happen between now and then. So I'm sure in the next few weeks, you're going to be hearing me talk more about paper coming back. But then beyond that one Sew Direct meeting, actually the majority of my work this week has been on Patter and tackling some big projects on behalf of clients, working on some big consultancy pieces which require lots of my attention. And it's made me realize, and this is kind of related to what I spoke about the other night with the kind of context shifting, that the most valuable currency in my life right now is focus. Because I don't need to tell you that I have a lot going on. And the context shifting of Sew Direct into Patter, Patter into content, content into living life, and all that means that every time I shift context or get pulled away with something or have to deal with an issue, I lose that focus. And yet, when I'm left alone to just deal with the things I need to deal with, to work on what I need to work on, like I did yesterday from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m, there was nobody else in the office. There was nobody phoning me. I didn't look at my inbox. I just got stuff done. The quality of work I can get done and the kind of size of the levers I can pull when I'm left alone to do that is these days the most important thing I have. Because this isn't the very scrappy early days of business like it was, 7, 8, 9 years ago. This is an established business pattern with established clients, with big long-term projects. The more time and focus I am allowed to pour into those projects, what I know, what I'm good at, coordinate things, actually do the work, whatever it might be, I'm realizing that having that time and having that focus is more important than almost anything else. And that's why, actually, let's go full circle here. Yesterday, as much as I tried to stop myself from being annoyed about the car situation, I wasn't annoyed about the fact that somebody thought it was okay to smash a gaping hole into the back of my car. Whatever. I wasn't annoyed about the fact that somebody robbed my gym bag. Don't care. I wasn't even annoyed about the fact that it's going to cost me hundreds of pounds to put it right and I'm going to have no car for a week. I was most annoyed, as you can probably tell from the first half of what I've spoken about today, I was most annoyed about the fact that that situation stole hours of my time. It robbed my focus and it stopped me from moving things forward. So I think I'm learning, and we're learning together here because this is me thinking out loud, that more than anything else in my professional life these days, the ability to focus, the conditions that allow me to focus are more important than anything else. And I think that's really all I have to update you on today. I say it every week that these videos are like unintentionally short and I don't show you everything, but I'm kind of okay with that. I think that when it makes sense for me to grab this camera and give you some context or tell you what's been going on, that's what I'll do. This isn't a all singing, all dancing vlog where I try and show you my whole life. I've said before and I'll say it again, I don't have time for that. But when I feel like I want to give you a little update and hopefully stitch some of those updates together to give you a view into what my week looks like, that's what we're going to do. So it is Friday, it is 4 p.m. I'm going to finish a couple more bits of work very quickly here. I'm out for dinner tonight, going to try and not work tomorrow as I always do. And then Sunday is a bit of life admin, a bit of travel, and then being back home with my mum on Sunday. So I will catch up with you probably at some point on Sunday, wrap up the week, and let you know if anything else eventful happens between now and then. I hope not. I feel like I'm tempting fate by saying that, but either way, I'll see you soon. Okay, Sunday, it is just before 9 p.m. and I am back home in Rothwell. Stopped by here for a few days to see my mum, and to get here, because of the car being in the window replacement place, I had to get on trains, and I have not got on trains like that from Cardiff to Northampton Gym in years. And I'm conflicted, because on the one hand, when I was sat on those tables just working away, I was super productive. I have kind of hard-coded into my brain through all the years of having to work on megabuses and cheap cross-country trains, getting to and from Cardiff and whatever. During the early days of the business, I've hard-coded into myself the ability to work really well in those environments. It's the same as when I'm in a coffee shop with earphones in. When there is kind of chaos going on around me and noises and distractions, weirdly, I find it easier to lock in that kind of setting than I do sometimes when I'm in a totally empty office with no noise. So from that perspective, it was good. From the perspective of just remembering how trains work, as out of touch as this makes me sound, it was not good. Because there's plenty of times over the past few years where I've jumped on the train from Cardiff to London or Corby to London, and it's like, get on a train, get off a train, done. Booking the right ticket to not go via Birmingham because I wanted to go via London because the trains are nicer and it's easier to work on, and then figuring out where you even buy a rail card these days, because this journey alone paid for the rail card in the amount of money saved, and then just like the changes and this and that. It was just a headache. It's mad that, and again, not to sound super out of touch, but so much of my life until like 6 years ago when I passed my driving test was living on trains to get everywhere. And then a few years before that, because trains were too expensive for me back then, it was living on megabuses and it was walking everywhere. And I don't know, I think there's just something interesting about the fact that we so quickly become accustomed to new levels of comfort. And then when you have to take one step back, even for a few days, because your car's off the road, and get on a train or walk somewhere, it's mad that something that was once the absolute expected norm suddenly feels like it has a lot of resistance. And there's a lesson in there somewhere. I'm not sure what that lesson is, but maybe progress, which requires strength, eventually makes us weak, right? Good time to create soft men and all that. I don't know. Am I a soft man? Who knows? Anyway, I look rough. It was very hot out there today. I am gonna wrap up this video here because honestly, I have nothing all that profound to say. The England-Mexico game is on in a few hours time, so I'm going to stay up late and watch that, and I think my plan is to work from like 10 p.m. until 2-3 a.m. so whilst that game's on, do lots of the kind of low-hanging fruit tasks that I would otherwise be doing on Monday, and then tomorrow morning wake up a bit later because I'm going to be up all night watching the football. Hopefully England win. By the time you watch this, you'll know how we did in the Mexico game, so you're in the future and I'm not. I think next week I'll lean into talking about some of the things that I had planned to speak about this week. It seems like something goes wrong in every single one of these videos, right? But the car smashed window thing just swallowed up so much of my time and made me so much busier than I otherwise would have been. Not least because that meeting on Monday and traveling to Oxford and everything just meant that I was already a little bit stretched this week. Next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm going to be sat here in this very spot, just working away, and actually tonight as well, getting ahead on work. So there will probably be less to talk about from like a here's what I'm doing perspective next week. For the most part, in the 4 and eventually when you see it 5 weeks since I started this style of video, I think next week will be the one where I really am just sitting down, locking in and moving things forward. So that's the plan. I apologize for this video being a little bit underwhelming and a bit of a mess. Blame the person who smashed the window of my car. Also, side note, I realized earlier on today that not only is smash a fucking hole in my car, that's inconvenient, and steal my gym bag, that's inconvenient, but annoyingly, they stole my running trainers, which were like £200 and hadn't been used a lot and were really good. They were in my gym bag, I think, because I assumed they were in the apartment. Didn't really think of it the other day. Went to grab them today to bring them back here. Realized, oh weird, they're not in the apartment and they weren't visibly in my boot. They must have been in the gym bag. So let's tally up what they did. They smashed the window of the car. They have forced my car to be off-road for a week. They've cost me a few £100s in getting it repaired, and I'm sure my insurance company are going to just ruin me at my next renewal because I technically made a claim. They stole my gym bag, they stole my towel, and they stole my running trainers. So down a bit of money, down a bit of focus, down a bit of time, but all is good. The car, I think, will be ready tomorrow, so I'll pick it up when I'm back in Cardiff later on next week. And then we'll go from there. Don't know what else to tell you, don't know what else to say on this video, because it's been a weird week. But I'm going to go get on with some work. Thank you as always for watching. I apologise again that this one was quite underwhelming, but if you haven't watched the previous 3 videos, go back to the channel and watch them. I think they're interesting. And if you're not already, because I'm sure there is still nobody here on this channel by the time you watch this, 4 videos in, consider pressing the button down there to subscribe. I'm going to try and make a video like this every week, and some weeks will be slightly underwhelming like this one's. Others, hopefully, there'll be lots to show you and lots of progress to tell you about in the 2 businesses and the podcast and my life. I think that is everything. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week.